Welcome to Odds.com's college football national championship breakdown. And what a bowl season we just had, the four of us. I was talking to John Ryan before the show started and saying, I truly believe it's the finest work that I've ever been a part of with a group. We went a combined 84 wins and 48 losses, plus 40.10 units. I am barely 0.24 units ahead of Big Ragu at 27-9, plus 17.19 units, ROI 47.75%. Big Ragu went 24-11, 68.6%, plus 16.95 units, ROI plus 48.43%. Average line plus 110 for Big Ragu. 35 bets, and Ragu's average line was plus 110. So was John Ryan's in plus 104. He went 19-12, 61.3%, plus 9.12 units, ROI plus 29.42%. And DJ Big Boss 14-16, 46.7%, down 3.16 units, ROI minus 10.53%, average line minus 102. It was great work. Some giant highlights, and we will talk about them. For me, the money line cashers that you guys had, it started with Ragu with Hawaii, and then John, you had the Ohio State Ole Miss back-to-back, and we had some of our colleagues and friends parlay those two to a huge score, and just incredible. Don't forget the Ball State money line that Ragu also had. It was absolutely great work, and extreme pleasure working with you guys. And we have one game left, the national championship. I just had to get that. Let's go around the horn here and talk about their highlights over the 25 bowl games. But for me, it was your big money line scores, and us just winning. From the 29th to the 2nd, I went 20 wins and 4 losses. I don't remember having quite a run like that. We'll start with John Ryan. John Ryan, what were the highlights for the first 25 bowl games? And great to see you. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure being here with you guys. And you couldn't have said it better with this group. I've been doing this 26 years, and to go whatever that total was, Jimmy, 86 and 41. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You just don't have that happen unless there's somebody smart among the group, and it must be you, Jimmy. But anyway, it was a very tough bowl season to cap, and we did every single game. And it's hard enough in the Super Contest to pick 5 NFL games every week, but we picked every single game. Granted, we had the option to do totals and team totals and the other type of betting lines. But I mean, it's a tough chore to do that, and to get even at 50% would be, I would consider, excellent when you bet every single game, because the more you bet, the greater the chance to lose. It's not the other way around, where the more you bet, the more you can win. It's just the laws of probabilities. But I think the one game that kind of hurt, that I thought, in my opinion at least, I had the right side, was the Cincinnati game. And that was, I believe, 20-13. And that was a bit of a frustration. But then, I also had Texas A&M, which, comes out of the blue in the fourth quarter to cover and make it look like it was a blowout. But I think we all would agree that Texas A&M was the superior team on the field. It just was. North Carolina had the big horseshoe out there, and they were getting a lot of breaks. But other than that, I can't think of anything more. And I'm looking forward to this game, because this is one to unload on pretty big, I think.
Yeah, this is a very, very exciting game, and I have a plan, and we'll see if that changes. But let's just quickly go through John Ryan's action throughout this contest here. And there were some special spots. The Ohio State plus 245, Ole Miss plus 270 to round out the campaign was very nice. Very nice. You also had that Texas-Colorado first half under 31 at plus 120 when you sold points there. It was nice work. Overall, fantastic job. Let's go down to the big Ragu right below. Ragu, you got us rolling with Hawaii at plus 390. I'm going to pull up your record here, but what were the highlights for you?
That quick start, 7-0.
Yeah.
Boom, right? And then all of a sudden I kind of fell down a little bit. Then when round 2 came around, 11-1. Boom. And then, a little bit back there. But it's not, I wouldn't even call it peaks and valleys because it was all like a big rush. The whole process, sitting here working with you guys, capping the games, breaking them down, and seeing things a lot clearer, once we get our breakdowns put together. And, this is the way you should do it. We work as a team. And this has been the highlight, just sitting here with you guys, putting these games out to the chat that we love dearly. Thanks for the chat for showing up each and every day.
Yeah.
And, it's been a lot of fun, just and cashing, when I hit that Ball State money line, I had Army was playing that same day, and I had an off the record money line parlay, because Army, that line went up to 10 points. And I think I bet it in the contest at just the first half, which I won. But, man, I lost that game in like the last 2 minutes. I had a bad feeling I could see, they were getting momentum the other way, and they scored that touchdown late. I knew I was screwed. But that was a big payer. That was like plus 1,900 or something like that. It was crazy. I was sitting on the edge of my seat for that one. That was like over $2,000 for that. So I played for $1.50 just for shits and giggles. But yeah, it's been a fun bowl season. It really has. It's been excellent. One of the most memorable I can remember since I've been handicapping.
Yeah, it's the most successful bowl season I've ever had. That Army first half +4, West Virginia first half over 20.5 was beautiful. Your Hawaii +390 was the highest money line score, and your Ball State +290 was the second highest money line score in the contest. I mean, Ohio State and Ole Miss were just below that. Great job. Let's go to DJ Big Boss here. You were in business because you had a nice little run there where you went 7-2 between Western Kentucky, Georgia State over, Oklahoma State, Miami over, Texas, Colorado first half under, Wisconsin, Florida, Oklahoma over, Ball State +10, Ball State, San Jose under 64.5. You were on a run, but you lost with a couple spots on North Carolina in the Ole Miss game over. But a good run for you, DJ. What were your highlights?
Man, it was just another growing pain for me. Last year, I did a little worse in the bowl season. Bowl season is real difficult. I'm getting to learn it a lot better now, and working with you guys definitely helped me out a lot. But sometimes it put me in some bad situations. But it was a lot of fun for me, Jimmy. You know me, I do a lot of West Coast stuff, Mountain West, Pac-12, all that kind of stuff. So just to jump around conference to conference with teams I really don't follow too tough was a little tough. But the main spots that I really liked was fading the San Jose State, which I love so much, and also fading Oregon, who shouldn't even been in there. So I capitalized in those moments. I had some fun with some teachers and stuff. I had fun with it, Jimmy, more than anything. I had a lot of fun, and I think we got one game left. I might be able to go 500, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's get out of here. Let's get out of here 500, man. Make sure I don't get no bumps and bruises and stuff.
This contest is not over. It's not over. I have a 0.26 unit lead on the Big Ragu. Well, let's get to work. Thank you guys so much for joining us. We have Scandler says, and even though DJ's record wasn't as stellar, his breakdowns of games were super helpful, especially that take on Kifflin and Ole Miss being fired up to beat Indiana. And that was too bad. That was really too bad there for you because in that spot, you thought Ole Miss was going to put points up. So exactly. In the end, you just had that first half and full game over. And even though you capped that game brilliantly, you were not rewarded there. That was a big difference maker. That was nicely put, Scandler. I love it. I absolutely love it. All right, let's get to work. Thank you guys all for joining us. Here we are, National Championship. Number 3 ranked Ohio State Buckeyes, 7-0 versus number 1 Alabama Crimson Tide, 12-0 Hard Rock Stadium, Miami Gardens, Florida. And it is 1 week from today. The top 2 strength of schedules in the country with Ohio State on top. How we're going to do this is we're going to start. I'm going to do a quick opening. Then we're going to start with Ohio State. We're going to go around the horn. John Ryan, Big Ragu, DJ Big Boss. At the end of the Ohio State breakdown, we're going to say whether we are betting Ohio State. Then we are going to go do the same with Alabama. And then we're going to do the same with the total. Harold Williams giving us a final score of 41-24 Bama. Juan Ruiz in the house. Viper NB, thank you guys all for joining us. So, little stats, just tidbits about both of these teams just to get us started. Alabama scored the second most points in average, the second most points in the FBS at 48.2. Ohio State was third. These stats will show you what a tight game it could be. And we are dealing with a spread of either 7.5 or 7. And I can get 7 at my book right now. If you do the 7.5, a lot of them have Ohio State at -115. If you do the 7, they have Alabama at the -115. This total has dipped a little bit. You can still get 76s. You can still get 75s. There is 75.5. There's even a 74.5 on the board now. Here we go. So Ohio State was 4th in yards per game at 544.9, while Alabama was 6th, 535.2 right there. Ohio State was 3rd in yards per rush at 6.0. While Alabama was 23rd at 5.1. Alabama was 6th in passing yards per game at 349, while Ohio State was 31st, 272.3. Alabama, 1st in the nation, converting third downs at 59.26%. Ohio State was 6th, 50%. Alabama was number 1 in points per play margin, 0.433, while Ohio State was right there, 0.258. And then on defense, Alabama 20th, allowing 2.2 offensive touchdowns a game. Ohio State was 31st, 2.7. So Alabama has a bit of an advantage there. Alabama 29th in FBS in yards allowed, 353.2. Ohio State 40th, 369.9. Ohio State 27th in the nation, allowing a third down conversion rate of 35.4%. And Alabama was 76th. That was something that caught me by surprise, allowing a third down conversion rate of 41.40%. They were tied for 8th in opponent yards per rush attempt. Alabama was 23rd, allowing 6.7 yards per attempt. And Ohio State, and this is a pass attempt, Ohio State was 60th at 7.3. Ohio State was the 3rd best turnover margin in the league at 1.3, while Alabama was 11th at 0.9. Not much difference. So I'll start with the quick Ohio State breakdown, and then we'll go to John Ryan. So Ohio State scores 43.4 points, gains 544.9 yards per game. Justin Fields threw for 21 touchdowns, 6 interceptions in 7 games. Against Clemson in the semifinal, he took an extremely hard hit, and he gutted out a 22 of 28 performance for 385 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. He was able to move the ball deep. His deep passes were very good. There has been questions about Alabama's defensive coordinator, but now we've seen how Ohio State wants to beat them. Trey Sermon ran for 868 yards, 4 TDs. School record 331 yards with 2 scores on 29 carries against Northwestern in the Big Ten championship game. Broke the OSU single-game record of 314 yards set by Eddie George. The guy was he's a machine. He ran 31 times for 193 yards, 1 touchdown against Clemson. I'll be very curious to hear from you guys whether you think there's an advantage over Najee Harris, who is phenomenal. Master Teague, nice backup, ran for 449 yards, 6 touchdowns. Chris Olave, who missed the Big Ten championship due to COVID, his ability to stretch defenses is so impressive. He caught for at least 100 yards in 5 of the 6 games. You also have Garrett Wilson, caught 6 passes for 132 yards. Ohio State's defense was hit hard by COVID throughout the year. So when we did our Ohio State breakdown, it was extremely interesting when John Ryan went off first and then dropped what looked like it was going to be a bomb saying Ohio State money line. But all 3 of us were also on Ohio State. And the one thing I brought up was we didn't know how good they were because of COVID. And we finally got an idea of how good they are as a complete team in the game against Clemson. They're deep. In 7 games, they had 13 different players record sacks. 6 different players record interceptions. They allowed 96.7 yards per game on the ground. That's 2nd in FBS. Pete Werner moved from outside linebacker to inside this season. So can he slow down Najee Harris? He had 37 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1 sack in the first 6 games. He's very good. And then you have star cornerback Shaun Wade, All-American by ESPN, OSU's first winner of the Big Ten Tatum Woodson Defensive Back of the Year award. He will have his hands full with star Devontae Smith. I am not going to be betting Ohio State. I'm not betting Ohio State. I think they are in trouble. All right, let's go to John Ryan. You're up first.
Well, the first thing when we get to the playoffs, especially in the NFL, running and the stopping the run becomes so much more important to determine who's going to win the game. Turnovers are a huge factor in these games. There is no tomorrow for either team. It's not like we can wake up tomorrow and say, all right, well, we're going to play better. So that's what makes these games so exciting, and why the ground game then becomes so important. And that edge actually goes to Ohio State, who's averaging, as Jimmy said, 273 rushing yards a game. They gouged Clemson with chunk yardage after chunk yardage after chunk yardage, and it literally was a heavyweight fight where the Clemson fighter just kept going down and getting up and going down and getting up. But the edge, in my opinion, here for Ohio State, if they're going to win this game, is to control the clock, not worry too much about putting a lot of points on the board. And what I was most impressed with that Clemson game, and as Jimmy pointed out, we didn't know how good Ohio State was. And if you looked at their the game film after that game, the defensive front was monumentally better than I had ever even imagined. And Clemson's no cream puff, obviously, and for what they did in terms of getting penetration and dominating the line of scrimmage was really, really impressive. And it makes me think that they can stand up against the Alabama attack. And in recent games, Alabama has kind of lost that running power game. And of course, they have a wide receiver that's going to at least get my vote for the Heisman, and made some incredible plays in that Notre Dame game, like when he leapt over the guy, and I mean, just ridiculous. So with this Ohio State team, they're the ones I think that need to control the clock the most, as opposed to Alabama's need for it. And they can do that with that ground attack. And then that sets up play action pass like you saw against Clemson with Justin Fields. And they've been running this play for, before Day was even the head coach. I'm guessing maybe, and this is a standard play. It used to be called a pick play, but now it's a rub. So they'll set up those three wide receivers on the wide side of the field. The tight end and the first wide receiver will be like right here, and then you have one out here. These guys cross, which is the rub, and they kind of clip a defender that is coming over to get the wide receiver. Wide receiver runs a post route, either in cover 0 defense or cover 1. I must have seen that play 10 times in that Clemson game. So they're going to run it against Alabama too, and I've said it for weeks here that Alabama is very vulnerable in that secondary to that type of play. Even if they see it on film and you know how to defend it better, the speed that Ohio State has is overwhelming at times. So I'll pass the baton now to Big Ragu here and see what he has to say about it.
Yes, let's pass it to him, but let's finish off hearing, are you betting Ohio State?
I am betting Ohio State.
Ooh, okay. All right, let's go to our Big Ragu. Take it away.
Of course he's betting Ohio State. He's a Big Ten guy, man. What do you think? But
maybe just big.
There's a lot of factors, man. There's so much going on with this Ohio State team. Number one, they played the game of the year in my book. Clemson had some inefficiencies going on. It showed up mainly in their offensive line, which we knew they had some struggles there. ETN had trouble all year getting going. So that was, where they stepped up really, really nice there to kind of shut that down and then forced Trevor to make a couple of mistakes too. So not to take anything away from what their offense did, because they were just tremendous there too. So I think everything was kind of all the pieces, the unknowns like we talked about with the 25 kids coming back from the COVID and, the short amount of games. So maybe it was I wouldn't call it rest, but maybe a fresh team starting to gel, getting together at the same time. Everything clicked for this team. So are they going to carry that momentum forward now? I know it was pretty emotional win for them, the coach, everybody. So a lot of these kids are first timers, to get to this spot. Where the other team on the other side, they've been there before and they're used to it. So how are they going to carry themselves forward? I think they have enough time to kind of regroup and, get things together here. But they're going to be looking at Trey Sermon, number one, where this team turns around and rushes for like 60% of their plays, you know, they're going to have to get a little creative maybe with some of those plays out of the backfield because, you know, Alabama is going to be geared up for that. You know, we know where Alabama's weak is in the pass. I think I had some numbers on that. Let's see what I had there. Jimmy said, I think they were 20th overall defensively, but against the pass, they were like in high mid-pack, like 50, 60, somewhere in that range, you know, giving up like almost 11 plus yards per catch, you know, which is not good. So I think for Ohio State to have success against Alabama, I'm not going to say they have to pass first, but they're going to have to come out the backfield with some different looks, and they're going to have to pass to beat this team. There's no question about it. Now, my concerns is with the tough game that Fields had, how healthy is he going to come out of this spot? You know, they're not. I seen Dave saying that, you know, he'd be ready to go game time, but they didn't say too much about practice. So they're going to practice as normal, but they didn't say what kind of duties that Fields would have in practice, you know, whether he'd be taking snaps. So that's a major concern for me because I did have some interest in the team total with, I think it was like 33, if I'm not mistaken. But for this game to get to the total, which we'll talk about later, you know, they're obviously going to have to score some points. But I don't think they're going to do it on the ground solely, even though, you know, Sermon's had some nice looks. And Jimmy brought up, you know, Olave, you know, he's a real nice receiver. And they got Wilson, who's, you know, they're both averaging better than 15, 16 yards a catch. So they have weapons. They have other pieces that they can go at Bama with. And I think if Fields is heavy, if Fields shows up and I get good information on Fields, I'm very interested in the team total over 33 points in this spot for Ohio State. I think that bodes well to the over too. I think if normally you would say, okay, if Alabama's going to win, you know, you're going to tie that strictly to an over. But I think in this case, because I think they're going to try to slow down, I don't think they want to get in a shooting match. They're going to want to score regardless, but I think it's going to bode well for Bama to kind of, you know, try to shut them down on the run and come up with some schemes against the pass to try to keep them off the field as long as they can. Because I think if the more Ohio grinds this game out, I think it's going to be a better team total for them to go over. But Bama, you know, to squeeze that number tighter, I think it stays under if Ohio State's able to run the ball. And if they pass, then it's a dead over because I think Bama's they're gonna score points. But you know how they gonna how many points? I'm probably gonna say they're probably hit like the low 30s. And I think both of these teams are gonna hit the minimum of 30, like 33 to 37 points, and that's gonna put it pretty close to the total. But it'll be like one score or turnover away from getting over the total. But I'm gonna say if Fields plays and he's healthy, I'm going to be on a team total over 33 points for Ohio State.
Well, we will be making official contest picks here on today's show. And I'll tell you this, we're going to close on the total. So we're going to do Ohio State, and we're going to do Alabama, then we're going to talk total. But I'm never shocked when I see team totals on Bet365. Never. We always can predict what they're going to be.
Yeah.
I was shocked, Doc, when I saw these team totals. We know what the spread is, 7.
Yeah, what is it?
The total is 75. Ohio State's team total is 31.5.
Oh.
And Alabama's team total is 42.5.
So they're getting money on Alabama and none on Ohio State.
Exactly. I was shocked. I'm very shocked. So, okay. That's a very interesting breakdown. We're going to go over to DJ Big Boss, and then when we do Alabama, we're going to go in the opposite direction. Big Boss will start it off. So, Big Boss, Ohio State, we have both John Ryan and Big Ragu moving in that direction. Are you as well?
Let's take a look at it. So, Ohio State, a team, pretty decent team. Let's look at all the facts. They got in there off the short season. During the season, didn't play too much competition in the Big Ten, but did have a pretty rough game against Northwestern, but here they are now. They did come out and beat Clemson, but for those Notre Dame naysayers, beating Clemson shouldn't mean much because Notre Dame beat them during the regular season too. So this Justin Fields. Let's go to the coach. Let's go to Ryan Day first. Ryan Day inherits a pretty good recruiting class, pretty good team. He's been working with it, doing well. Is he ready to coach against Saban here? Does he have tricks up his sleeve to make a difference in this one? Those are question marks for me. Let's look at the quarterback situation with Justin Fields. Yeah, he got banged up pretty bad, but we all know Ohio State's dirty. They'll Novocaine whatever they need to do to get him right to play that one last game. So that's I'm gonna take that with a grain of salt. But Justin Fields, you could say he kind of struggled a little bit, and that goes to the next thing is the offensive line, because most of the plays he had to make outside the pocket using his feet. Not a lot of stuff. He did put some big ones up, just cock back and threw him out the pocket. So he did show that he could be a deep threat, but he did have to move around a little bit to make some plays happen. So the offensive line can be iffy at times. Then we jump on the defensive side of the ball. The defensive line is not as strong as they've been in the past, of course, with the guys that they got in the NFL right now. But the guys behind them are not bad, but they do a decent job. The strength in defense is more in their linebacker core and their secondary, which has its open spots at times, and some teams have been able to manipulate that. But defense overall, solid defense. Have they played a team with this caliber offense? I don't think so. So they got a lot of downhill running coming at them. It's not easy to tackle those guys. And they got a lot of athleticism, and they also have speed as well. But Ohio State may be a little bit faster than Alabama. But Alabama, strength-wise, and overall class outweigh Ohio State. So in this game, although I was on Ohio State last game, I don't think I'll be taking Ohio State this go around.
I am with you, Big Boss. So let's talk now about Alabama. And we're going to go in the opposite direction. So DJ Big Boss will be going first after me. Mark Hunkefer saying, did Big Boss watch the same Sugar Bowl? I did. I really think that I knew when the number came out at 7 that Alabama would get hit initially. And to me, I thought that was sharp money. Then when it went up to 8, everybody who had watched the very impressive performance put on by Ohio State would say, look, you're going to give me Ohio State at +8? I'll take it. And then it would come back to 7. I don't know where it goes from now, but at my book, it's 4 for the half and 7 for the game. I like where it is. So let's talk about Bama here. Bama leads the FBS in offensive efficiency. They won each of their 10 regular season games by 15 points or more before Florida gave them a battle in the SEC championship. Mac Jones had a spectacular year. 77% completion, 36 TDs, 4 interceptions. Najee Harris is an absolute monster. Ran for 1,387 yards, 24 touchdowns. Devontae Smith is the likely Heisman winner. His ability to catch short passes out wide and slants make him so dangerous. You don't only have to worry about him running deep, but what if he gets the ball immediately? He went for 1,641 yards, 20 TDs this season. In his first 11 games, 768 of his 1,511 receiving yards were after the catch. The Alabama pass rush is dangerous. 6 different players had multiple sacks. Sophomore linebacker Christian Harris can do so much. I mean, he's just so capable. 73 tackles, 4.5 sacks, 1 interception. Patrick Surtain, Pro Football Focus, is top cornerback in the FBS. And he's going to be busy. I want to see Ohio State do that again. I want to see them do it again. And I'm not sitting here, I'm going to move on Alabama, sitting here extremely confident. I just want to see them do that again. And I want to see Fields, after taking that hit and having a 6-touchdown performance, the game of his life, do that again. And again, I'm not saying that he's incapable of it because he's a spectacular athlete. And I mean, my dad was like, how do you take Trevor Lawrence over this kid? That's what kind of a performance Fields had. But I am going to be betting Alabama. I will decide after your breakdowns and as we make official picks whether it'll be a first half and full game. I do want to make moves on the total, and I would prefer not having 4 bets on this game. But if that's where it goes, then that's where it goes. So I'm on Bama. I like Bama the most first half. I do think that the way Ohio State plays over the top, that they're going to get theirs at some point. Are they going to be able to match Bama early? I think that 4, and some people can get 3.5. I think that's a great spot. Bama has been there and done that, and we're asking a lot of Ohio State. Okay, DJ Big Boss, take it away. Talk Bama.
Bam. So, not trying to overthink it too much. Been on Bama since the beginning of the season. Been a revenge year for Saban the whole year. The team has showed that they're right on their side. Give them a little time to, have to sit out because of COVID. They come in and they smack teams around like they miss football so much. And this is the opportunity they've been fighting for this whole time. It's this national championship game right here. They didn't get the guys that they wanted. They probably wanted to get another shot at Clemson. And, the Dabo Saban thing. So Saban goes up against Day. Day's a little new, could offer something new to the program here. But in this coaching matchup, Saban outweighs him by a lot. He has a system that's been proven year after year, time after time, plays good in these big games and everything. He really leaves it up to the athletes. It's really all up to the athletes in this one because the system and everything is in place. So coaching-wise, I'm all Bama. Even though Justin Fields had that, and I did watch the same Sugar Bowl, like Jimmy said, he had the greatest game of his life, of his career, in that Sugar Bowl. And, that's where that stopped. But when you look at Jones here, I've been liking Jones since the beginning. This is the quarterback that Alabama was supposed to have, not Tua and all them other people running out of the pocket and throwing. They need a guy that can sit back there and throw strikes, and that's what the guy does. And he has one of the best offensive lines in front of him in college football that's going to be holding it down for him. And he also has wonderful weapons to go with that as well, as multiple receivers, depth at receiver, depth at running back. So, also flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, they win in the trenches again with the Alabama defensive line. They're running the 10 deep show over there, and of dudes that's averaging about 280, 290 on the scale, and they're coming in hard, and they're strong, and they're athletic. Some of these guys can catch balls behind their backs. So this Alabama team is really, really locked and loaded. I'm not going to overthink it. I'm going Bama all the way. We talked about this earlier in the year. I'm not going to spend too much time on it now, but it's kind of a no-brainer for me, Jimmy. And
we'll come back to this, so you don't have to make a decision right this second. But is this a first half and full game move for you, boss?
I'm gonna break that down where I'm gonna find value in this game later on when I give my pick.
Okay. All right. This is exciting. So it looks like it's Boss and I versus Ragu and John Ryan. All right, Ragu, talk to us about Bama.
Not so fast, my friend. I didn't commit anything on the side, or I told you about a team total, but I didn't tell you about a side yet. And here we go. All right, so Bama, 8-4 ATS this season, and they're scoring 35 points a game in 23 straight games, except when they got back to Notre Dame. They I think that was I was going to say their poker game, more or less, not so much what Notre Dame did play decent, but like I said, and I've been big on these Bama first halves all year, and I dialed back on that, and it bit me in the ass, but that's okay. No big deal. We move on. But a lot of offense with we all know the story with Jones and Smith and Harris. Now, I think we're going to see a ton of Harris early in this game. I think it's going to bode well. They're going to have to this game is going to be the offensive line of Alabama versus the defensive line That's the game right there in a nutshell. If they can't stop Harris, it's going to be a long day for Ohio State. Which I'm not saying they're not going to be able to stop him, but if Alabama trips them up and Harris, has some big gains and just opens it wide open, Bama's going to get theirs no matter what, anyways. But I am thoroughly leaning towards a strong first half under in this spot here with the game itself, and I'm also going to do my auto play. I'm going to be up on Bama minus the 3.5 if you get it for me on the first half. So I like the under and Bama in the first half.
I'm searching for 3.5s. I can't find them at the licensed books right now. We're going to go around the horn and give official sides here in a second, and then we're going to get to totals.
Well, let me tell you one other thing. I did find a number. Alabama ranks 80th overall against the pass, yielding 11.4 yards per catch or per completion. Same difference. But Surtain, we know about Patrick Surtain. He's the All-American corner. But the rest of the defensive backs and what they have back there is not. But here's the thing: they allow a lot of yardage, but they're still only giving up 20 yards a game. So they have that bend but don't break defense. So you can run up and down the field all day long. This is where the stats, they don't really mean a whole lot when it comes up to the scoreboard. So if you're ranking 80th overall against the pass, but you're only giving 20 points a game, you're still winning football games.
No doubt. And when I was going over those stats, I wondered how many of those pass yards, were when they were up 30 points late in the game. And I don't know, but it was the first thing I thought of when I saw that stat. I want to, how many of those came in those situations? But I'm not saying it's not an important stat. It is an important stat.
Yeah, it is. But hey, Saban said this too, and he said it the other night. I forget what day it was, when it was, but all his championship years, he's always, Bama was known about the defense. He says you got to change with the times. You got to adjust. It's all about offense now. So there you have it.
Well, so I can't wait to talk totals with you. You've already piqued my interest enormously, but I will hold off my questions for you. Okay, John Ryan, talk to us about this Bama squad.
Well, they're a pretty good team the last I checked, but seriously, I'm still trying to transition from my love affair with Ohio State here, and that's, had a few kids that went to Penn State, and they're probably really upset with me even mentioning Ohio State in the same breath, but so be it. But with this game, I'm going to go into some trends here. Now, the line, as Jimmy pointed out, is 75 roughly and -7. So that translates into a 41-34 Alabama victory. So now we have a situation with my pivot points of 28 where both teams are expected to score more than 28 points. And there's some really eye-opening trends here when we look at that. And I'm going to start with Ohio State. Ohio State, in games where they score 28 or more, are 157-61 against the spread the last 10 years, 18-11 the last 3 years. When both teams score 28 or more points, Ohio State is 3-3 the last 3 years, 17-14 the last 10. All right, so you're probably leaning towards Alabama already, but hold on. When Alabama scores 28 or more points in a game, 22-16 last 3 years, 138, 76-2 pushes the last 10 years. And here's the eye popper. When both teams score 28 or more points, Alabama is 0-2 this year, 1-8 the last 3 years, 9-30 under Nick Saban. So that's kind of like, to me, I just kind of go like, holy moly. Now, my machine learning tool, I haven't run all the projections yet, but the one does have a high probability that Ohio State will gain 500 or more yards in this game. And that's only been done 7 times in the last 10 years against Alabama, and they're 0-7. So I guess that's kind of logical. If you give up that many yards, you probably should lose the game and lose against the spread. Now let's break it down to yards per play. Alabama's defense, when they allow 6.5 or more total yards per play, they are 0-5 the last 3 years, 8-19 the last 10. Now, the flip side of it for Alabama is that there's a probability that we could see 1,000 yards gained in this matchup. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be taking the total either, because I think the market has already priced in a kind of like a track meet, maybe not so much in the first half, but once those defenses get worn down a little bit, it could be a real shootout in the second half, but we'll have to see. But let's say Alabama does gain 500 or more total yards in the game. They are 16-12 the last 3 years, not too impressive, but they are 52-22 with 2 pushes the last 10 years. When they gain 6.5 or more total yards per play, which is the same expectation that Ohio State has for this game, they're 7-3 this year, 21-13 last 3, and 81-40 for the last 10. And if you think about it, they're getting 6.5 or more total yards, and they're 7-3 this year. That means there was 10 games of the games they played where they gained more than 6.5, and that is rarely done in collegiate football. So those are kind of the neat little metrics that have been coming up of late. And one I didn't mention, when Alabama allows 28 or more points, they're 0-2 this year, 1-9 last 3, 14-49 the last 10. When Ohio State gives up 28 or more, 1-1 this year, 3-5 the last 3, 18, 41, and 1 push the last 10. So I hope that made sense.
It does make sense, and it leads me to want to ask questions about the total immediately, but I will wait a minute before I start firing these questions out at you. All right, we've all said our piece about Ohio State and Alabama. Is there anything anybody wants to add or contradict or battle with before we put our sides official picks in for the bowl contest? And all I can say is, if Alabama doesn't slow this game down, then I'm in trouble. I want them to slow it down. And if they don't, then I'm going to lose money. And I'm going to lose a lot of money, because I think you're right that Alabama sort of correlates to this game being under the 75. But we'll get into that. Does anybody want to add anything before we lock in our official sides? All right.
I have one more thing.
Sure.
We had Justin Fields score 6 passing touchdowns for a program record. So of course you want to know what happens in the next game, especially if it is a championship game or a bowl game. So in championship games, there's been 4 times that has happened where the quarterback is coming in off of a game like that, and they average 312 yards for the game on 43 passes, which is pretty high. 7.2 yards per pass in those games, with 2.5 passing touchdowns and 1.5 interceptions. So the reason I point that out is the interception rate actually goes up when a quarterback is coming off of a monster game like that. And maybe it's because the confidence is so high that you start forcing it into tight areas, and lo and behold, somebody picks one off. But I thought that was pretty good too, just knowing what happens. There's no letdown, or there's not a continuation, but it is a solid game. It's not a crash and burn.
I love going against a player after has a superstar like game.
Yeah, but interception prop.
Yeah, and I plan to be doing that. Okay, it's time to lock in sides, and I don't want the double up. So my only bet is not going to be full game 2. My only bet will be Alabama. Well, my only official pick and my only bet that I'm going to make now will be Alabama first half. I can't find a 4 anywhere. Or excuse me, a 3.5 anywhere. I can only find a 4. So I'm going to try to find the lowest juice here. They're just kind of 110s across the board. Let's go to odds.com to their odds page and see if I can get. Not all the books have come out with their first halves, and yeah, -4 at -110. That's available at Circa Bet365. That will be my official bet. Now, if it does slip under 7 to 6.5, I may think about adding that bet, but I'm most comfortable with Alabama first half -4, -110. That is my side. We go to John Ryan. How are you betting this?
I'm going to bet Ohio State a couple different ways. I'm going to take it straight with the points, and then money line, and then tie the money line in with some of the. I guess they would be prop bets. So I would take the money line and tie it in with a total that is maybe 10 points different than what the total line is right now, and very small amounts. We're talking less than 1% of a bankroll would be my recommendation. You don't want to get crazy with these things, but championship games are made to have fun like this. So for the side, I'm squarely on Ohio State. With all due respect, Jimmy, I know you're hitting 75% winners, and I should be tailing you, but
oh no,
I have different colored glasses on. I think
it's what makes this fun. It makes it fun. We don't have to agree on everything.
Ohio State for it too. That's what also is fun.
Without a doubt. Ohio State plus 7.5. We can get you at -110. So that's at DraftKings. That is the nicest number for there. And then I'm going to line shop money lines at the licensed books, which might take me a second. So while I'm doing that, let's move down to the big Ragu sides. What's your action for the contest? Official picks.
All right, 60% running action from Bama, 40%. I'm sorry, 60% running from Ohio State, 48 Bama. I think you're going to see Bama's numbers tweak a little bit here. Whether that equates to big plays down the field, not so much. Possibly, I'm thinking a first half under for me, and then I'm going to take Alabama minus the 4 points, and I'm going to take Ohio State over 33 points.
Well, let's save the totals for this next chunk. So right now, I'll give you Alabama first half -4 at -110. So those are same bet as me. It's available at Circa. And the best money line available for the legal licensed books is at BetMGM. BetMGM is giving John Ryan a plus 260 spot on Ohio State. Okay, Big Boss, what's your side official pick for the game?
Okay, so like I said, I'm looking for value, right, Jimmy? So what I know about this Ohio State team is they have only two ways of playing. They either start off fast and they finish slow, or they start off slow and they finish fast. So let's take an example of that, of the last game that they played over here at Ohio State. Now, this last game against Clemson, first half, they scored 35 points. Second half, they scored 14. Now let's go back one game to Northwestern. First half, they scored 6 points. Second half, they scored 16 points. So I figured when defense comes, because that's what you can basically look at Northwestern. When the defense comes, and that's where that's where he's gonna find his love on the tape. Is watching how Northwestern was able to slow him down. So when this takes place, it's gonna be slow first half for Clemson. Anyway, I see it. Even in the shootout, I see Clemson having to struggle. Justin Fields is going to have the second greatest game, like you said, Jimmy, of his life, back to back, which would be the greatest thing ever for me to watch in my college football watching. But I'm going to go on the safe side of thing, and I find a lot of value, even with the record of the play, and that's first half Alabama. So if Alabama has shown that they've been solid in the first half throughout the whole season. And here you are, Ohio State team who starts off slow or starts off fast, you never know which one you're going to get out of them. So I'm going to go ahead and go Alabama first half, and then I'm going to go I'm gonna go first half under.
Let's wait because we're going to do each.
I knew that was coming.
We're going to talk about the totals right now on a run. So we're going to do a quick totals bit right now. But for the sides, Alabama first half is your only action, boss?
Yeah, I only like Alabama first half. I mean, I like them for the full game as well. But I think, last game of the season, we might get a little battle in the fourth quarter or something crazy, some extra stuff. I don't want to be involved with no last minute kicks, especially all the lessons I learned this year in college football. No last minute kicks, no kick it in the end zone, get a safety and give it to none of that. We're not leaving no room for none of that. So I'm off of the full game. I'm only going to play the first half.
I'm on Alabama first half. The three of us, Boss, Ragu, myself, first half -4, -110. John Ryan on Ohio State +7.5. Ohio State money line +260. All right, let's get into the totals, and we'll start with Big Boss because he wanted to attack immediately. We'll go down to Ragu and then to John Ryan.
Let me see, what number am I getting at for first half?
The same as us, -4. So I can't find a 3.5
for the total.
I will line shop for you. But I'd like you to talk more about why you're on the first half under. I already spoke about how I know both offenses are capable of quick strikes, but Mac Jones is going to have to play very steady. And the key for Alabama will be keep Ohio State's offense off the field. Let's tire out this defense with long, conservative, planned out drives. And once we have them tired and beat down, then we go for big strikes. I think I think Ohio State's wide receivers, this is a pretty simple statement. Nobody's as good as Devontae Smith. He's the best wide receiver in college football. And if anybody's secondary has a chance to possibly slow down a wide receiving core, I think it's Alabama's with Surtain. So I'm on the under. And I'm also not afraid to double up on this. So I'm not afraid. I understand the idea that the second half could be a shootout. But it's a shootout if Alabama is in trouble. If Alabama's in control, it's a slow, methodical beatdown. And that's what I'm betting on. So I'm going to be first half full game under. Let's go to DJ Big Boss. Take it away.
What number are we getting for that first half right there?
Well, there's a whole bunch of options.
I've been tripping over my feet on these first half because of the number.
The first half under is 37.5, and it's +100 at BetMGM and PointsBet. It is 37.5 at +100 at Circa.
So we're looking at 5 touchdowns and a field goal.
Yeah.
So let's count those out. 5 touchdowns and a field goal. Alabama first half, I could pretty much give them 3. And then if we're looking at Ohio State, I know they're going to score at least 1 to 2 times. But the third one is a maybe. The third one may be a field goal. So I don't know, because the way I see the game is difficult, because the way I see the game, I don't think either coach is going in there to play chess. I think both of them have powerful offenses, and they just going to go do with the best that they do. So if the total wasn't so high, I would be on the over. But it's so high that it makes you want to go over. But nobody wants to sit around and still be contemplating the over at 74 in the fourth quarter. That's never no fun, but it happens all the time. Look at the Texas A&M game. Just blew up all of a sudden in the fourth quarter. So It's difficult. Like I said, the full game is difficult. But if Alabama do what I think they're going to do, we're looking at like a 24-42 or something like that, which would fall just under. But if it's any type of competitive, it can go over at any time. So I'm going to jump just only on that first half and take the under first half. So just give me under first half and under Alabama.
First half under, and that is a plus 100 at PointsBet and BetMGM. So first half under 37.5 at plus 100 at BetMGM. All right, Big Ragu, take it away.
You look at the Bama team, you think LSU last year, the way they scored. So immediately that's going to put you on the over, just for the style of play they've been doing all year, right? But I got to agree with Jim. I just think both teams, like I said, Ohio State's going to run the ball 60% of the time. Bama's going to try to be a little bit more balanced offense, but I think, like DJ calls it, cat and mouse. I don't think it's going to be cat and mouse. I think it's going to be more like smash mouth. So I think somebody's going to have to establish a run here because both teams are not going to just rely on the pass. And I think you're going to have some, I wouldn't call it feeling out process, but you're going to run through a series of downs, both ways. I don't think you're going to see an explosion of points right off the bat. I think you're going to see a slower, grinded out pace, maybe like for at least the first half of the first quarter, 2-3 possession type stuff, run through the playbook. That puts me on the under. 37.5 points, a lot of points. You're going to try to get some scores before half, maybe 2 minutes, however that works out, field goal, touchdown. But I don't see 5 touchdowns in the first half. Now I see maybe 5-6 touchdowns in the second half, possibly, but not in the first half. So I like the first half under. I already gave you my side play. Now here's the thing: if they do get in this shootout match, like DJ was saying, maybe if they get in a closer game, that won't bode well for Bama because both teams are yielding in the 20s, but both teams are hitting the 40s. So which version of which team are we going to get? I say you're going to get 2 versions of both teams. I say in the first half you're going to see under, and you're going to see a second half over, and that's going to put me on Ohio State over their point total. And I think it's like 31.5 is what you said. So I would take Ohio State over full game, 31.5 points, and under first half, 37.5.
You are locked in. First half under 37.5 at plus 100. And that 31.5 right now is at Bet365, and it's not at other books. So those of you that should attack that.
As long as it ain't like minus 150 or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's just sitting at minus 120.
Yeah.
Very, very, very interesting. So that's the team total. Let me see if I can get one from another book. There's not as many out there as you'd think. So IM says, I think the key here is a dual threat quarterback. Field such a polarizing player. Yeah, he's a spectacular quarterback. But coming off the game of his life, let's see him do that again.
See, okay. DJ, this way I don't get caught up in the hijinks, like you said, getting beat backdoored or, trying to get to a number. This way I could have fun both ways. I could cheer not to score early and score a ton late.
Yeah, you got it.
All right. We go to John Ryan. And John, you're not forced to. You just need to make one pick for each game, and you've got 2 now. So you're not forced to lock in a total here for the contest, but we'd sure be interested if you do. Take it away, the total in Alabama, Ohio State.
Well, I have no other choice but to make the bet because this is the one that I like even more. I actually have 14 systems supporting the over, and I'm going to read every single one. No, I'm just kidding. But I do have 14. I have 14 that are, quality, we call them systems, algorithms, whatever. And one of them is pretty simple. This is for the first half. You're going to play over with any team. In this case, it actually supports Ohio State and Alabama. The first half total greater than or equal to 35 points, with the teams having winning records on the season and the opponent having winning records on the season in a non-conference matchup. And that's exactly what we have here. That's gone 74% over the last 10 seasons without a losing season. One other one here, play over with first half total of 35 or more points, with two teams that have covered the spread in at least 2 of the last 3 games. And I think in this case, Alabama's covered 5 or 6 of their last 7, I believe. Off the top of my head, I know it's one or the other. That one has gone 76% winners over the last 10 years with a 36, 10, and 1 push record. Now let's transition into the game. Because they have good processor these days. It would take an hour like 5 years ago to get to these pages of mine. But here we go down. We are here. Okay, so again, I have a ton of them supporting the over, and that doesn't mean that it's a lock to go over the total. It just means that I have a lot of systems that are colliding on the over. There's no difference between me picking one with game and betting it with 3 systems or one with 14, but there is a little bit more oomph when you have more of them. So since 1990, this one is 82% winners, playing over the total of 70 or more in a game involving 2 defensive teams that are allowing 330 to 400 yards per game on the season, from the midpoint of the season on through the playoffs, bowl games, or the championship game. One of the teams has to be gaining 475 or more total yards per game over their last 3 games. So it's a 3-game average. So they have the individual games, and then I track a 3-game moving average, much like you would take a 20-day moving average of the stock of Apple computer. And that gives you a pretty good idea relative to where their season average is. And if it's trending up, it's going to be a consistent for many more games to come. So I like the over first half. I like the over for the game. And I don't know which one I actually like more. Now, I know you guys all think that I'm nuts.
No, not at all.
I am kind of nuts.
It's good nuts.
Yeah, I'm a risk taker.
Do you want to double up first half, full game over?
Yep.
So the 37.5s that are available on odds.com, that doesn't include Circa Bet365. They're way too juiced. Way too juiced. We have to go to Bet365 and Circa for less juice, but even Circa is minus 120. The best licensed book right now, and I say this rarely, is Bet365. So you can get the over 37.5 at minus 115.
Hey, John, that's what Jimmy told the police right before they cuffed him and put him in the car. He told him,
I saw that on Twitter.
He told him, I'm a risk taker.
Yeah.
Full.
And they took his ass away, too.
Over 75.5 at minus 110 is full game is available at Circa, and that locks us in. Full game over 75.5 minus 110 at Circa.
Hey, Jimmy, I want to mention one thing here I forgot, and I feel it's important. When you have a total, especially in a playoff or a championship game that is this high, you're going to have a lot of game volatility. There's going to be, Alabama might score 2 touchdowns in a row. Ohio State might answer with 2 of their own. They might alternate touchdowns and field goals, but it's going to be volatile. So when you play that live in-game, for example, Sunday, I had started my 3rd IPA, DJ, and I got Texas A&M at minus 1.5. Okay, so there you go. It was minus 10 at game time, and if you use a little bit of patience, it'll work for you, because rarely do you get a game that, if you bet Alabama, it's unlikely that they're going to control the game right from the very start. There'll be runs, and just try to take advantage of that. I mean, sometimes it feels like you're standing on the railroad track getting hit by the train because you're already losing your bet. But don't think that way. Think that, I believed in this game before. I put 70% down before the game started. Then I'm going to add to it when I think it's right. And just try that. This could be a great game to do it.
Absolutely. Well put. Well put. All right, let's review all action, and then we'll see if there's any prop bets that you guys are interested in. The only prop bets that I've found available right now are passing yard props with Mac Jones and Justin Fields. This is at FanDuel. Mac Jones at 365.5. Justin Fields at 290.5. So we'll see if there's any prop bets you guys are looking at on. But here is a review of official action for the contest. And again, we're 84 wins, 48 losses, plus 40.10 units. We are running very hot. For sides, John Ryan's on Ohio State plus 7.5, and the Ohio State money line plus 260. Boss, Ragu, and I are all on first half -4 for Alabama. In totals, Boss is on the first half under 37.5 at plus 100. Ragu's on the first half under 37.5 at plus 100. And Ohio State team total over 31.5 minus 120. John Ryan's on the first half over 37.5 minus 115. And full game over 75.5 at minus 110. And I'm on the first half under 37.5 plus 100 and the full game under 75.5 at minus 109 at DraftKings. Are any of you guys looking at attacking the prop market when it's available?
No.
Yeah.
What are you looking at, John?
Well, I think I would look at I think you'd get really good value with Justin Fields and being contrarian that he's not going to crash and burn in this game coming off the monster game that he had. That again, in my opinion, you've seen teams and players accomplish something. A guy who throws a no-hitter, that momentum carries over to the next start, and then it's the start after that where fatigue and wear and tear begin to take its toll. So sometimes adrenaline can just be a really powerful thing with a young kid coming off of a 6-touchdown game in a semifinal. So I think you'll get pretty good value for total passing yards for him. And, I can't help but to think that this is going to end up being a shootout. And you might see some big chunk yardage on the ground game, too. So Ohio State prop bets with Sermon is probably going to be a good bet, too.
Sermon and Fields. John,
taking contrary to that, if you think like I do, which I hope you don't, but seriously, the wide receiver for Alabama, who's going to win the Heisman, I think you're going to get an inflated receiving yards on that. And it's a dangerous bet to go contrary to him for obvious reasons. And if it does end up being a 45-42 game, he's probably going to go over those. But the value in terms of it'll be overvalued because so many people will say, oh my God, he'll have 250 yards receiving yards. So I'm going to bet that. But like Big Ragu kind of hinted, like be careful with these prop bets. You're going to get juice that's minus 120, minus 125. And I try to look for the ones that are even money, maybe plus 105, because the books are encouraging you to come in on the contrarian side. If everybody in the world is betting it, it's going to be minus 130, minus 140. But that's, they put up prop bets because the casinos and the sports will make a fortune off of them. Mm-hmm. So, just be careful with your money with those kind of bets.
Thank the Super Bowl for that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it has been a spectacular run. This is our final college football video of the year. It has been an absolute honor working with you guys. And a huge thank you to all of the cappers in the chat supporting us and inspiring us, making us laugh and sharing insights and information and stats. We have nothing without you guys. But what a treat it is. DJ Big Boss, man, love working with you, my guy. Thank you for everything and rolling with us, and can't wait to hammer it again next year. Big Ragu, you're such a legend. Ever since I started, man, working with you, man, just inspired by your skill set. And this was unbelievable. 24 and 11 plus 16.95 units. And I beat him by 0.26 units, but you had a better ROI, 48.43% average line plus 110. And John Ryan, what an enormous addition you are to the crew. Huge addition. The machine learning stuff is so fascinating and so helpful, and your big money line scores are so great. You guys are all so different from each other, and such an honor and pleasure to work with you guys. So thank you for all the hard work you put in all year. And that's that, baby. Our last college football show of the season. Man. Sad.
What about you, Jimmy?
I'm got a tear right now. Look.
You're the best.
But you know what? There's more on the horizon, so we ain't going
also, we're never going to be able to
the books are always open, right?
The book is always open, but we're never going to be able to hammer over 40 units ever again.
Hey,
I don't say that. You'd be surprised.
John, though, if we had to finish the year plus 4 units, that's a great success, or the bowl season.
I would do every game.
So I will track all our numbers year after year after year, but I don't think we'll ever be touching this. Thank you guys. Thank you all for watching. DJ Big Boss, as always, you want to put a bow on this bad boy?
Oh man, I just want to make sure all the people out there know that I'm the good-looking one on the show, and that you know, it's been a pleasure right here with John Ryan, of course, Big Ragu, the boss in the sauce in full effect, and having you, Jimmy, host us, it really meant a lot too, man. It's always a pleasure working with you, man. You get us going right away, man. So we appreciate you jumping in. I know you spend a lot of hours behind the camera, but we appreciate you hopping in with us. And look, it paid off for you, Jimmy. You came over here and it paid off for you. So I'm happy for that, man. Shout out to everybody in the chat, Prince of the City, all the guys that come in, you know, week after week, short moment notice and all that. We still got people showing up in the chat, commenting and everything, man. I appreciate them, the whole Low Bag Nation and all that good stuff, man. But I don't know, man. It's 2021, man. Thank God the season is over. I'm always so enthusiastic and so happy to start the college football season. And I'm also already ready for it to quit by around this time too, because I want to relax. I want to get off the camera a little bit. I want to play 5-team parlays on basketball and nobody knows how bad I am and all that stuff. So it's about that time to do that stuff and catch me in baseball season, man. I wake up in baseball season. I'm pretty sure I'll be hanging out with Jimmy on baseball season and nobody knows with them unders. But you know, it was a fun time, man. College football, one of the loves of my life, man. I appreciate enjoying this with you guys for the whole season. But that's all I got to say, man. Tell them something. You get us out of here, Big Ragu, all the way from Florida. My man, Big Ragu.
Yeah, hey, another season. That's two seasons with Jimmy. Jimmy, shout out to you, and of course Cynthia behind the scenes and the whole Odds crew. We want to thank you guys for putting this thing together. I enjoyed myself immensely. This is the most fun I had since I've been doing this. And can't say enough, John. It was nice to meet up with you. And, of course, my guy, the boss and the sauce. We always do it up right when we get together. But the leader of the Merry Men, shout out to Jimmy the Bag. We appreciate and love you, my man.
Oh, thank you guys so much, man. What a treat and honor. Let's finish off the national championship in style. And that means either John wins or I win. We can't have them both here, John.
You go ahead, Jimmy. This is your gig, man.
I'll be messaging you throughout the game. Great work, everybody. And thank you so much for your support. On behalf of everybody, odds.com, DJ Big Boss, John Ryan, Big Ragu, and myself, let's keep getting paid.